And I hope that other people who are coming out are going to be able to connect with their family in a more authentic way instead of pretending to be something that they're not. And it's actually not that hard to gender someone correctly. It's not that hard to use the proper pronouns for someone. The thing that has made it a bit difficult to come out to my family is that the last time I tried sharing my gender identity, I was met with skepticism and made me feel like I had to justify my identity. I know that it came from a place of curiosity. I wanted to know if I'm sure, but it just made me feel a bit unsafe. I mean, you're non-binary, right? That already is going to break the gender binary that a lot of people grew up with. A lot of people know only like man and woman. If you're like, I'm like kind of in the middle of that and I don't really fit in on either side, it is difficult to understand for a lot of people. And I think like trying to figure out a way to phrase it is a really hard part. When I came out to my dad, when I came out to my mom, I went in there and I was like, they're not going to understand what I'm saying, so I have to like try to phrase things in a way for them to like understand what is happening. I was like, I do not feel I resonate with the societal expectations that people have when it comes to men. I do not feel comfortable in my skin and I do not resonate with my body and I just like reject it. And I need to like go on this journey to like fix this like incongruence that I have, like something along the lines of that. And it was like really wordy and it was like kind of a struggle, but like he didn't really understand it. He basically was like, I know people who are gay. And I was like, that's not the same thing. That is like always like the problem. Like people saw like I'm unhappy and I don't want to have like a relationship with a woman or something, and they just like assumed, oh, it's because I must be gay. But that just wasn't the case. I was literally just like unhappy, uncomfortable in my own skin, and it like made every aspect of my life suffer. When I came out to my mom, she was like, no, you're not. I was like, coming out as trans, I was like, I don't really feel comfortable being a man. And she was like, oh, how do you feel? Like nothing, am I right? And I'm like, no, actually I feel like a woman. And she was like, oh, no, you're not. I would have known. There would have been signs. And it's like, you literally bullied me for being like a girl. You literally bullied me for not being, you know, like my brother or something. You know, everybody in school always thought it was like such a prank to call me a girl because I'm like a girl. What the do you mean there weren't any signs? I was locking myself in the room and I didn't go out as much. I didn't do anything. I didn't care about my appearance or whatnot. The signs of being depressed and not dating anybody? No signs. Yeah. I kind of cut off contact with my mom when she like started saying like, oh, I wish I had a real daughter because then I could have like grandchildren. Like, after a while, that was just like, it was just too much for me. I had contact with her and she told my dad that like I'm going through a phase and like she doesn't know what she did wrong. She thought it was because she asked me tech questions. She had technical difficulties and I just was so fed up with it that I like sent her a huge paragraph telling her how she hurt me in the decades, you know, leading up to that. That is like why I cut off contact. It's because she asks tech questions, not because of you know, the torment that I had to endure. You just have to be cut off, to be honest. Oh yeah, 100%. I'm not really interested in like reconnecting that. And it's so interesting to me when like conservatives are always like, oh, how dare you people ruin like families. It's like, why is it always like the fault of like an LGBTQ child when like the parents reject them and that's why they like have to cut them off? When I started transitioning, I didn't really have anyone supportive. Like my brother was like slowly turning around, but like there weren't like any changes to me. It was like still me. Like I had like really short hair that I started growing out. I didn't really dress femininely. I gained so much weight because I had the wrong dosage of HRT and I just had like no energy to do anything. I was really depressed because of, you know, basically being menopausal for a really long time. I was struggling with my job because I didn't find an apartment where I could live close to my at work, so I was driving every single day for like 1.5 hours. You know, obviously if an American's hearing that, that's just like day-to-day business, but like that's not really normal here, at least. But it was like everything was like too much for me. I went no contact to my family for quite some time. I had some contact with my brother, but like I basically focused on me for about a year. I had bottom surgery last year. I had my legal name change and like all these things, and I went no contact with my parents. Obviously, I'm still no contact with my mother, but like I'm starting to connect with my dad again, and he's like calling me by my new name. He's obviously still struggling with the pronouns, but he did mention that I just have to be around a little bit more so he gets used to it, which is kind of nice. You know, obviously if you're hurt by your parents, you know, if you're struggling because you're still being misgendered, it's still, you know, hard for them to adjust. For me, for a really long time, it felt like, well, because I'm not really changing, because, you know, there isn't a change in my appearance or in my voice, obviously people are not going to adjust to it. But once you're actually like transitioning, once they can see like the changes, it makes it so much easier for them to actually adjust. Like when I visit them last year on New Year's and I was like dressing up, the first pronoun my dad used was she, and that made me feel really good because I didn't expect it. I thought I'm going to drive to New Year's to just like hang out for, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours, and then I'm going to drive back. I actually stayed a really long time. I actually was there for like 6 or 7 hours, and it was pretty nice. Obviously, I did get misgendered a lot. You know, he accidentally gendered me correctly, basically, and then he had to make up for it. They also had this weird habit of like when talking about me in the childhood, they were using my dead name to refer to it, which is like, I don't know how I feel about that. It feels a little bit weird, but I mean, I do understand, like, oh, it's a different chapter, it's a different life. My mother and I aren't close, but she has made effort to be more accepting and change her behavior. That's awesome. It's not on like the trans kids to you know, change their ways to make their parents happy and comfortable. Like if you are around people who are literally draining your energy because they are so awful to be around, it's not on you to like endure that just because they are your parents. It's kind of like talking about someone who never existed, it seems. I don't know. I mean, I get what they're like trying to do with it. It's still kind of weird. But also like my dad, I do have like a half brother and a half sister from my dad's side, and he was like telling me how they you know, want to connect with me more post transitioning, and they're like accepting of it, which is also like kind of nice. The reason why I never spoke out about these things, the reason why I had like so many issues coming out, was because there were a lot of instances that made me feel like being trans is something bad. My brother was talking to me about a crazy friend who had like insane takes, like gender and biological sex are different things, and gender is just a construct, and we assign masculinity and femininity to traits that do not have an inherent biological truth to it. But I was sitting there being like, actually, she kind of does have a point. There were a lot of instances like that, a lot of like small things, you know, obviously like people taking a jab at me for being like a girl, which made me like believe being a girl or me being a girl would be a bad thing. You know, things that they considered a joke, a small little joke, actually had like huge implications for me and made things so much more difficult. Obviously they didn't understand that because they didn't have the context, which doesn't excuse that behavior, but like it feels nice to know that they're at least like moving forward, they're going to be better. Although it does kind of suck, there's so much unnecessary trauma just because people didn't have the ability to be normal human beings and you know, not bully someone for being different. I live away from my family and see them maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I'm planning on coming out this year, but I also know that when I do, I'll be kicked from the family. I hope you're going to be surprised and things are going to be better than you expect, but I'm sorry, and I hate that that is like the reality. Live entirely independent from them already. I mean, that's good, at least, you know, you're not losing your safety net or something, but maybe, you know, things are going to turn around. Kids shouldn't have to distance themselves from their family just because they aren't accepting of who they are. Kids shouldn't have to worry about being alienated from the ones that they grew up with, the ones that they should have been able to trust. This was when I first thought I was agender, and I was experimenting with different labels because I knew I was different, but I didn't know which label fit me. That's fair. I mean, a lot of it is like exploration and trying to figure out what feels right to you. That's like what it means to just like embrace who you are. It is a journey. Like, obviously back then I didn't know the term trans, but I did know that I didn't want to be a boy, that I wanted to be a girl. I rejected masculinity because it made me feel like this is something that was like forced upon me. But I also had this toxic trait of basically having to pass as a cis straight man to not get bullied. It didn't really help that much. You know, cutting my hair really short, forcing my voice deeper, and it made me feel so numb and depressed. And when I learned about trans people, I was so resentful because like, why were they able to like come out when they were younger? Why are they able to like transition now? Why are they able to have like all these results? And I'm like sitting there and I'm just like suffering. I'm so glad that, you know, I took the plunge. I just like fought so hard to get where I'm now. And even though it took me 6 years to get where I'm now, I'm so happy that I did it when I did it, instead of just like suffering more and sitting there needlessly. The thing is, like, it doesn't matter when you come out, it doesn't matter when you transition, it just matters that you do it when you are safe and you know, have like an environment that allows you to do these things, because it's terrifying to lose, I don't know, your housing or your family, your friends. And it sucks that we live in a world where that is even a fear to begin with. I think the only person I will hurt to get rejected by is my brother and his wife. I can do without my parents' toxicity in my life. That's fair. Case cooking. You're so lucky that I haven't ended stream yet. Just kind of sucks that I was met with skepticism at my first attempt to come out instead of acceptance. When I came out to my best friend, she was immediately accepting without any comment or skepticism. I feel like that is just like a problem that like people have who are not, you know, well versed when it comes to the LGBTQ community. I think you just need to like teach your parents, you just need to teach your family how to actually behave, how to actually like respect your gender identity, etc., and just give them some time. You have to be patient. And I feel like if you're non-binary, you're always going to struggle because people are going to like put you into either box. It's going to make it harder because like when I do voice training, I'm still being put into the he/him category by like strangers. But like, there's a goal. Eventually, if I do voice training enough, eventually if I have enough progress, I will have people call me she, her after hearing my voice. Like, there's no in between that you can like work towards. And I feel like that is a huge issue when you're non-binary. Once in elementary school, I was eating a popsicle that was making my lips a bit redder, and some other boys laughed at me because it reminded them of red lipstick. Apparently a boy with lipstick is something to laugh at, because lipstick was generally considered a girl thing. Something like this made me want to stay away from anything feminine. I think something like this helped me away from discovering that I am a woman for a long time. I used to play like hockey, but it was like indoor with like inline skates. And the club had a Halloween event. I dressed up as Dracula, and my mom put like makeup on me, putting black lipstick on my lips, and I got bullied for it by girls. And I didn't really understand why, because I liked it, but like getting bullied for something that you enjoy doing because it's for girls, it's not meant for you, like that kind of scarred me. When I put a skirt on for the first time, and I was like, it's like the same thought. It's like, I want to wear this, I want to like it, but it doesn't suit my body, it doesn't fit well on my body, it doesn't look right because it's a boy wearing a skirt, not a girl wearing a skirt. And that kind of broke me. Then I'm conforming expectations hurt everyone in the end. 100%, yeah. To be honest, you sound pretty feminine to my ears. Yeah, but a lot of people view that as a feminine guy, not a woman. I also heard from them that, well, I don't feel particularly like a woman, which made me feel weird and uncomfortable. What does that even mean? Especially if you're like non-binary, like that doesn't mean you have like the woman woman traits. You don't talk like a woman, so you're not a woman. You don't like to go shopping for shoes, so you're not a woman. It's just gross behavior. And like that's the type of stuff that my mom told me. I think I have like 2 or 3 years now, no contact with my mom. I do not think there's any way to like reconnect because she's so like narcissistic and self-absorbed and just blames me for everything. Maybe my siblings at least. Maybe that side of the family I can connect with. And honestly, like, I never had like an emotional connection to my parents. I never really had like an emotional connection to anyone. But I feel like it's also because it wasn't me. Like, I was just numb. I was just like a shell. I was an autopilot. It wasn't really who I am now. I was just like isolating myself and being anxious. Maybe getting out of that is really beneficial. And I hope that other people who are coming out are going to be able to connect with their family in a more authentic way instead of pretending to be something that they're not. Just for the sake of making your parents happy or giving them the least amount of struggles, you know, like I don't expect anyone to call me she, her because I don't sound like a woman. Oh, I don't expect anyone to call me she, her because I don't look like a woman. All these things just like, well, I'm not putting in enough effort, so I can't expect to get gendered correctly. It's just like so much internalized transphobia, and it's actually hurtful. And it's actually not that hard to gender someone correctly. It's not that hard to use the proper pronouns for someone. In a lot of cases, it's actually more work to go out of your way to misgender someone than call my parents parents because they are not parenting. Fair. You're literally describing my situation. I mean, you know, as a trans person, I've been through that. And I still have like some internalized transphobia where I'm like, if I'm getting misgendered by a stranger, it's just because like I didn't fulfill their expectations of what a woman has to look like. So it's actually my fault for not doing good of enough job. But sometimes people are just that's why they misgender cis women too. People laugh at me and my brother always referring to our parents by their first names and not mom and dad. I always thought it was like so weird that like children in movies or TV shows said I love you to their parents. I never understood telling your parents that you love them. But hey, I was raised by a man and a woman, so it's actually my fault. All the childhood trauma that I have, it's actually my fault. That's like a stable relationship. I had everything going for me. That's sad. Yeah, it do be like that sometimes. Anyways, case cooking, so I can end stream before you know,